Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL44 coming at you with another video. All right, so what do we have? About 4 hours, 3 hours to tip off. I believe it's about 3 hours. It's about 4 something right now. And nothing really new has come to mind, to be honest with you. Encourage everybody to check out that video I put up earlier today discussing the game that's going to be ahead. And, I also made a little quick 3-minute video talking about the Dwayne Wade statue that I think doesn't look very good. So I gave my little 2 cents on that. But yeah, man, if anything, I'm just very much looking forward to this game, starting this road trip for my team here. I think it's a 6-game road trip, if I'm not mistaken. I left out the Detroit game that could be coming up. So the order is a little fuzzy to me. I know obviously we play Phoenix right now, but I think next game maybe like Cleveland. Then it's like maybe the Pistons, or then Toronto, and Detroit, and then Memphis. I think that's how that goes. I believe that's how that goes. Philly in there somewhere. I think I might have already mentioned them. If I didn't, them too. So, we're going to be getting an early Eastern Conference road trip, which is something that I don't remember having in the times that I've been paying attention to the schedule closely. I certainly don't remember a road trip coming this early, especially one that has us touching down to the East. Now, usually we play Cleveland early, but it usually isn't like a 5-game road trip. If anything, it may be a 3-game road trip, but nothing 5 or 6 related. So it's early for us to be going on this type of trip, but I tell you, with the road being as uncertain as it can be, all the more reason why our 3-game winning streak is so good for us. Starting off the season, beating the teams that we beat, which were Western Conference teams, it gives us an early season cushion. Even though you don't want to really look at it that way, if for some reason you don't have the greatest road trip, you've already beaten some teams and put yourself in a position to have a 3-game cushion on the rest of the Western Conference and early rights to a season series. You're talking about Sacramento, Phoenix, Minnesota. It's a decent chance we see all of those teams, or 1 or 2 of those teams, in the playoffs. So that we drew first blood doesn't mean that we can't come back around and lose 3 straight to these teams, or 2 in Minnesota's case, because I think we only see them 3 times this year. But it does mean that early on, you were the first one to strike. So all you have to do is win 1 more, and you can at the very least tie with them in the season series. So it's good to get that out of the way. If you're a Laker fan, you appreciate beating Western Conference teams early, especially ones that you expect will be in the playoff hunt. A lot of people are talking about OKC, and I have us circled as a team that matches up well with OKC. But in listening to people talk about them specifically, it's almost like they think that team is unbeatable. Like literally, because they have so many great 2-way talented players. They've drafted so far into the first round with so many of their pieces, and they kind of come together to fit. A lot of people are just shooing OKC into the championship. And I'm very curious about how we match up with them. I don't know how soon we see them. I don't know. I have no idea where they're at in the schedule. It's in my mind. I know we do see them, obviously, as a Western Conference team more than twice. But as far as if it's 3 or 4 times, I don't know. I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, they're in our division as it pertains to the NBA Cup. So that could get really interesting. We're probably going to see them fairly soon because of that. But that's one team that I want to pay attention to, because everybody's talking about them like they're the West Coast Celtics. Like they just can't be beaten this year. And I definitely find myself not fully aware, I guess, of everything that maybe they're capable of doing. Alex Caruso and Hartenstein are their additions. And of course, they have players that they're carrying over. And of course, SGA, who needs to be taken obviously very seriously. Jalen Williams, of course, needs to be taken very seriously. So, I know they have some talented pieces. But I don't know. Maybe it's just my ego talking. But I'm not afraid of them. I'm not afraid of them. I know of Alex Caruso. We had Alex Caruso. We won a championship with Alex Caruso. We developed Alex Caruso. I have a healthy respect for Alex Caruso, but as far as me fearing him, I don't fear the team he's on. Like, no, no. Now, I know that we have some issues with ball handling as it pertains to the type of talent that can put pressure on our guys, lengthy talent, guys that can defend, tend to give D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves a bit of trouble. I think Dalton Knecht could probably have that issue as well. We don't have the most talented dribblers of the basketball, and that's where they can really give us hell. Guys like Cason Wallace and, again, J-Dub, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Caruso. These are very talented defenders, man. Ousmane Deng, with the length that he has, they have a lot that they can throw at you. So I don't doubt at all that they're more than capable of being the best defensive team in basketball. That part I'm clear on. Hartenstein's out for a couple weeks. When they get him back, he's going to fit right in. You talk about a gentleman by the name of, what's his name? Chet Holmgren, who I think a lot of people think can be a fantastic defensive candidate for Defensive Player of the Year with his length and his ability to be extremely disruptive. And, of course, his talent level is way in the sky, as we know. So, I don't doubt that they have plenty of talent to throw at people. With those three players alone in SGA, J-Dub, and Chet Holmgren, those are three potential all-stars basically every year for the next 10 years, literally. So, again, I want to say that I'm not ready to crown them the team that is better than everybody else in the West, but I'm listening to people that I respect, and that's essentially what they're saying. So I just want people to understand that. But I don't know. I think I'm ego-driven when I say I ain't ready to do that. I ain't ready to do it. And I'm not saying that we're better than them, but to say that they're the best team in the Western Conference outright and that nobody can beat them in the West, I'm not ready to do that. That's a team that I genuinely think that we match up very well with specifically. Most teams don't. We happen to. So until they show me that they're ready, you know what I mean? Because that's what it was for them. They had all the talent last year, but they weren't necessarily ready as it pertains to being able to push past a Denver Nuggets, to push past a Minnesota Timberwolves. They just weren't still quite who they were going to become. I think this could be the year that is the case, though. It could be the year. But I'm going to be honest with you and say, I just reserve the right to say, you better prove that to me. I'm not about to crown you. That's how I feel about OKC. I'm not about to crown you. I understand that y'all got talent on paper and that you filled in some voids necessary. I think replacing Josh Giddey with Caruso is a pretty damn good move to make if you're trying to move on from a guy and you want to bring in something similar that can enhance some of the strengths. I think Caruso is pretty much better than Giddey in most categories. So that's a good thing. And like I said, bringing in Hartenstein really filled in a void for them because they needed the center position to be fulfilled. And that pretty much takes care of that so that they're not relying upon Chet Holmgren to stay healthy 100% of the time. Or asking the other Jalen Williams, to play the center position so much. Or asking Ousmane Deng to do it or whatever. So I don't doubt they have a hell of a team. I don't want people to get that confused. They drafted very well this year as well, getting some guys in the second round that I think can help them quite a bit. So this is a very, very good team, but they're gonna have to prove it to me, man. It ain't enough to look good on paper. You gotta be tested. You know what I mean? You gotta be tested, and so that's what I'm saying about the OKC Thunder. Up until this point, when being tested, they haven't succeeded. I guess that's what I'm saying. When being tested up until this point, they go out in the second round. They don't really look all that great, and that's how that sort of thing. But I don't know, man. This could be an OKC year. OKC versus Boston, I think, is what a lot of people think it's going to be. But show me. That's what I'm saying to OKC. Show me. Then I'll be a believer. Just like I made Boston show me last year because I wasn't a believer in them. And they kept getting ousted every year, but they eventually became ready and did what they needed to do to soup their team up. I think they mirror Boston in that way. Now they got this super ironclad team that doesn't really have too many holes in it. and a great coach on top of that, just like the Celtics. So one would think that this should be a year where they start to impose their dominance on the Western Conference. But I'm still of the mindset where they're going to have to show me. And there's some things that I'm wondering about as well, health-wise. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has seemed to have shaken off all of his health issues. He's been pretty healthy for the last couple of years. But for the first couple of years, he was fairly injury-prone. Chet Holmgren missed his entire rookie season with some type of foot injury of some sort that we know he sustained in a game in the offseason against LeBron James, believe it or not. So, can these guys stay healthy? J-Dub tends to miss some games here and there. He's not injury-prone, but I wouldn't call him Mikal Bridges-like durable either. You know what I mean? So that's my thing. Show me. I get it. You got talent on paper. I've seen teams that have talent on paper. I've seen, you know what I mean? Show me. And so that's what I'm saying to OKC. If they do it, cool. But just like I did with Boston, just like I did with Denver, I make them show me, man. Denver showed me. I wasn't a believer in Denver. They won the championship. I had to concede that even though they didn't have much of a bench, there was enough to get them through it. They ran some really weak teams that year as well. That helped. The path helped for Boston too. And so that tells a story as well. We can say teams are super ironclad, but maybe they don't have a lucky path. Maybe they end up running into a bad set of teams in the playoffs, and that could determine whether or not they're good enough to make it all the way through. So, OKC's got to get lucky on their path because it's the Western Conference. And when you talk about facing the Western Conference teams in the playoffs, you get the wrong set of a couple teams, roll the wrong ankle, and suddenly a great team could be ousted just off the strength of everybody else that they face. So this ain't the Eastern Conference. And I do think OKC has an interesting path ahead. Now, when it comes to the Dallas Mavericks, that's a team I'm just like, I like the idea of the continuity that comes with bringing in the centers last year, them getting as far as they did in the finals, and then from there, coming into this season with those three. And of course, you got Kyrie and Luka Doncic year 3, so they know one another much better now. It's less to work through for their team. But as I've told you guys many times, them letting Derrick Jones Jr. go to the Clippers, I think was a hurtful thing for their perimeter defense. And now they're asking a rookie who they draft, a second-year player who they didn't play very much last year, to kind of come in and be one of their best perimeter defenders in Omax Prosper. So do I expect that they are a better basketball team? Not without Derrick Jones Jr. I would have loved for them to keep Derrick Jones Jr. so that maybe their perimeter defense could kind of have, and the athleticism of their front, their small forward position could have been a bit more strong. I do like Omax long term, but this is just like the Max Christie situation. You didn't play him last year, but now you want him to step in and play and fulfill a real role. And I just don't know if that works out in a lot of situations. So that's my thing with the Dallas Mavericks. I'm not an overwhelming believer in the moves that they made. Klay Thompson, you know what I mean? I want to be respectful of Klay Thompson, but I'm inclined to believe he's going to struggle more than he succeeds. Because that's just what he's shown me over the last couple of years. That's it. But the thing about it is, he's going to be aggressive, which is what you want shooters to be. A great shooter, especially a guy like, Klay Thompson is one of the top 3 shooters of the generation, right? So you want him to feel good about taking shots, obviously. And it's going to be a strange comparison, but it's almost like Kobe after the finger injuries, where it's maybe a situation where he's permanently inefficient. Kobe Bryant was amazing, but once he let those finger issues get out of hand, played through broken fingers, had wrist issues and stuff like that, he never quite became his efficient self again. And many times did he brick shots after that. And I think it was because he didn't let those injuries heal. Well, Klay may have let his injuries heal, but he may not recover to a point where he's ever efficient again consistently from behind the arc. So this is a situation where he's going to have to learn his body. He's going to have to figure that out. And if he has 1 for 8, 1 for 9 games, that really takes away from the team he's on in a bad way. So I don't know about Klay Thompson. I don't believe he's an upgrade from Derrick Jones Jr. based on what Derrick's capable of doing right now in the areas that he is. I think they lost athleticism. I think they lost shooting consistency. I think they gained some inefficient aggression shooting the ball, which could take shots away from other guys if they don't manage it properly. And look, this is going to sound interesting coming out of me. I don't really know much about Klay Thompson, but he seems like he's a personality you have to incorporate into your situation, and you gotta manage his personality. And I do not think that was a problem that they had last year. I don't. It doesn't have to be a problem this year, but he can be down on himself. He could be aggressive shooting the ball in situations where he shouldn't be and get a little moody and stuff like that. I just think that's an ingredient that has to be managed. And Luka Doncic is a guy who has a short fuse. We know Kyrie Irving tends to be in and out of focus on basketball. We don't know. Maybe something may come about and might change his whole scope on the world, and thus might not have him be all in. And that's what concerns me about the Dallas Mavericks. As long as they're winning, I believe everybody can be locked in. If they start losing and having struggles, they got players on this team that may check out. And so I don't love that. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm not in love with the personality mix. I'm not in love with the personality ingredients there. I just think it's a little too much volatility for my liking. And Jason Kidd has his own thing going on in that regard. So it can get a little weird in that locker room if they have some struggles this year. And I'm just not really a buyer into the Dallas Mavericks coming back to the finals this year in a Western Conference that I do believe has gotten some better, but still, even if they didn't get better, they definitely didn't get worse. So I don't know, man. Just want to talk a little bit about the Western Conference. There's a couple teams out here that I would like to continue to speak about, but I'm where I need to be. So that's pretty much what I got to say. My name is BDL44. Thank y'all for watching.